Welcome to another one of my videos. Today we'll be looking at turning on and off an LED using a switch or an input switch. So here's the flow of how it works. We want to start. We plug in the Arduino. We want to set the LED pin as an output and set a switch or input switch as an input. Then test the state of the switch. If the switch is on, the push button is pressed. If it is true, then we want to turn on an LED. Otherwise, turn the LED off. And then it loops back into the switch statement. So basically, you just the set conditions to be in the setup, and then you would expect the continuous execution to be in the loop state. So back to Tinkercad, the circuit that we've been working with. We've got LEDs connected to pin 13 and pin 12. So as usual, you start with our two functions. So we have void setup and setup. Let's go to this. We've got void loop function. So as we expect to set the LED pin and then the switch pin. So basically the switch pin as well. So basically let's define our LED pin. So LED pin, go to pin 13, const switch pin to name it pin 7. So 7. So we go back to our circuit and add an input switch. We've got push button there. You can write switch and come with options, but we want to make use of push button, so we use push button. Hit there, and what we want to do is connect the push button to pin 7. Say orange. Note that this side of the push button is connected to the other side. That side is also connected to the other side. So terminal 1A is connected to terminal 1B, then terminal 2B, 2A connected to terminal 2B. So when you press the push button, it creates a connection across from 1 to 2. So we will connect the other side of the push button to ground. So back to the code. So we want to set the switch or both pins as modified. Set both switches as one as input, one as output. So what we will be using is the pin mode function. Go to Arduinos, go back to the reference guide, and then we have mode. With the pin mode we can set whether a switch or a pin is an input, output, or it's an input pull-up. Input pull-up, use the internal pull-up resistor of the Arduino Uno to connect it to a voltage source, 5-volt source. So you will have by default, you will have a high step on the particular pin. If you use input pull-up, we will be using pull-up. So we will define the switch mode, switch pin, and define it as an input pull-up. And we can set LED pin, LED pin. So when we run the the simulation, what we want to do is test the state of the switch, and then if it's pressed or it's on, then you turn the LED on. If it's off, turn the LED off. So in the loop function, all that to happen continuously. So the function is an if statement, and to test the state of the switch, we're going to use a digital read, because it's a digital pin, digital read switch, okay. And we want to test to see if it is slow. There. And say digital write. LED pin. Alright. Else we put a digital write. LED pin. Now see the effect on the red LED when we start the simulation. Start simulation. There's some errors that we need to rectify. So LED pin does not name type, right? So we've got several consts but without type. So we get some int simulation. Then the next redefinition of a loop. Say we have two void loops in the code, but what I've commented out, and obviously miss this one. Now we can run the simulation. Perfect, it starts running for us. So what we've got is constraint, and then we remove the unduplicated statement. So notice if we press, and it comes on, if we let go, it goes off. So what is happening is that if, let's say, by default, we connect, we put the switch to a high voltage source. So when we start the simulation, the digital read will return 1 because the switch is already connected to a high voltage source. So we test to see whenever it's pressed, it will connect in 7 to the ground, and hence it will be a low voltage. And when that happens, we switch on the LED. Else, when it's always on, we basically just turn the LED off. So we can modify the code further by adding the second LED. So let's say LED yellow pin or LED white pin is pin 12. And we set that as an output as well. So pin mode, LED yellow pin, an output. And what we will do is, if the switch is not pressed, we want the LED yellow pin to be on. And if the switch is pressed, we want the LED yellow pin to be off. So we want the LED yellow pin to be on rest of the toggle graph switches. Alternatively, so start the simulation. the LED yellow pin comes on, press the switch, goes off, the other one comes on, we let go, the red goes off, the yellow comes on, toggle on, which is quite fine.